"Baby girl, what can I get y'all today? A little sweetness for the princess, maybe?" The voice was soft and warm, like Georgia sunshine breaking through a cloudy morning. When Nathan Cole looked up, Amara Johnson stood by their booth with a notepad in hand, apron dusted with flour, and a smile that seemed to rise from a well of genuine kindness. It was the kind of smile you couldn't fake even if you tried. A moment earlier, Nathan had witnessed something that stayed with him like a bruise beneath the surface. Before he and Lily even walked in, he had watched through the diner window as Amara moved gracefully between tables pouring coffee for an elderly couple, kneeling to fix the shoelaces of a young boy eating alone, and offering gentle words to a teenage girl crying quietly into her milkshake. She wasn't just working. She was caring. Then the drunk man had erupted. "You people don't know how to serve anybody right," he slurred, pounding his fist on the table. "Can't even bring a damn glass of water without messing it up." Amara kept calm, her voice steady. "Sir, I'm sorry. Let me get you a fresh." His arm jerked, her tray tipped, and water cascaded across his stained shirt. "You stupid girl," he barked, and before anyone could move, he shoved her backward. The tray clattered to the floor. Amara hit the tiles hard, the room breathless in shock. Nathan felt something white-hot shoot through him: rage, protectiveness, instinct. He reached for the door, ready to intervene, but Amara held up a hand, silently urging everyone to stay put. She rose slowly, dignity intact, even as humiliation clung to her like the spilled water. "I'm very sorry, sir," she said simply. "Let me clean that up." The man cursed and stormed out. Amara gathered the broken glass with steady hands. Nathan stared, shaken not by the violence, but by the grace she displayed in the face of it. And now, minutes later, she was here, smiling as if the world had been gentle to her all along. Lily peeked from behind her stuffed bunny, curious but shy. Amara lowered herself to Lily's level. "You like pancakes, sweetheart? I make 'em with cinnamon. They taste like Sunday mornings." Lily nodded timidly. "One short stack and chocolate milk." Nathan murmured, "And for you, Daddy, coffee." "Black, as well." Coming right up, she walked away with a quiet confidence that made the diner feel smaller and safer somehow. Nathan studied Lily, who was twisting her napkin into spirals. "You all right, sweetheart?" "The bunny's tired," she whispered. Nathan's heart clenched. Just the night before, she had asked him the question that had broken him in ways nothing in the business world ever could. "Daddy, why don't I have a mommy like the other kids?" He had tried to soften the truth, tried to paint warm pictures of angels in heaven, but Lily's small voice cut through him like a blade. "Tommy's mom hugs him every day." That was the moment he walked away from everything: Seattle, the glass towers, the boardrooms, and came here under a different name, a different life. Not to hide, but to find something real, something Lily had been missing since the day her mother died: hope. A few minutes later, Amara returned, balancing a tray on her forearm with practiced ease. She placed the plate in front of Lily, perfect heart-shaped pancakes dusted with powdered sugar, and then set down the chocolate milk with a tiny paper umbrella. But then she did something that knocked the breath straight out of Nathan's chest. Amara pulled a small folded piece of paper from her apron. With a few quick, nimble twists, she shaped it into a delicate little crown. She leaned toward Lily. "Every princess needs her crown," she said softly. Lily's eyes widened, her face lighting up with a joy Nathan hadn't seen in a long, long time. "It's beautiful," she breathed, holding it with reverence. "You think so?" Amara beamed. "I used to make 'em for the kids in my neighborhood. Something simple to remind 'em they're loved." Nathan felt something shift inside him, subtle, powerful. Not attraction alone, but something deeper. Awe. Recognition. A quiet blooming of admiration for a woman who had just been shoved to the ground, yet still found the gentleness to fold paper into magic. His voice came out rougher than intended. "That was very kind of you." Amara looked almost embarrassed. "Oh, it's nothing. Kids remember little things like that. And every child deserves to feel special." Lily placed the crown gently on her head and grinned at her father, wide, bright, unburdened. "Daddy, I'm a princess." Nathan swallowed. "Yes, sweetheart, you really are." "And your coffee, sir," Amara added, placing the steaming mug before him. "Thank you." Nathan said. Not just for the drink. Amara tilted her head. Sometimes the smallest things make the biggest difference. My grandma used to say, love is a language even the quietest soul can hear. That's beautiful, he managed. She shrugged playfully. Old Southern wisdom. Now y'all enjoy your breakfast. She walked away, her steps light despite the weight of the morning. Nathan watched her go, stunned by how someone so gentle could also be so strong. And for the first time in a long time, he felt something warm take root beneath the grief, beneath the exhaustion. Lily looked up at him, her paper crown slightly crooked. Daddy, I really like her. Nathan couldn't help the soft laugh that escaped him, a sound he hadn't heard from himself in months. Me too, baby girl, he whispered. More than he expected, more than he was ready for, more than he understood. But as he looked at Amara moving across the diner, resilient, kind, radiant, he realized one truth with startling clarity. Maybe they hadn't just walked into a diner. Maybe they had walked into the beginning of something that could change everything. If this moment touched you, give it a like and drop your city in the comments. You might not be watching alone. The door of the old apartment creaked open with the sound of age and stories. Nathan stepped inside, carrying Lily in one arm and a grocery bag in the other. The air smelled faintly of mothballs and lemon polish. It was a far cry from the penthouse they'd left behind, the gleaming marble floors, the floor-to-ceiling windows, the silence of money. Here, the walls were thin, the radiator clanked in protest, and the carpets bore the wear of decades. But somehow, it felt closer to something real. Lily wiggled out of his grasp and ran to the couch, her paper crown still perched proudly on her head. Can I watch cartoons, Daddy? Only after you finish your fruit cup, Nathan replied, setting the groceries on the chipped kitchen counter. He looked around the small space, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, and barely enough room to stretch his legs. But none of that mattered. He wasn't here for luxury. He was here for Lily. For redemption. For a fresh start that didn't come with a chauffeur and a PR team. A knock came at the door, light but firm. Nathan opened it to find a woman standing there with a tray of cornbread and a smile like she already knew his entire story. She was in her early 70s, wrapped in a mustard cardigan, with silver coils braided into a crown across her head. Her posture was straight, her eyes clear. Mabel Johnson, she said, handing him the tray without waiting. I run the place. If your sink groans or ghosts show up, I'm who you call. Nathan chuckled, caught off guard by her presence. Nathan. Walker. And this must be for the little girl I saw clinging to that bunny on the stairwell, Mabel said, already stepping inside. No child that small should look so sad on a Tuesday. Nathan followed her with a raised brow. You always walk into tenants' homes uninvited? Mabel turned back with a knowing smile. Only the ones who look like they're hiding from something. And Sugar, you've got the eyes of a man running from ghosts. He blinked, unsure whether to laugh or defend himself. But something in her eyes, clear, steady, kind, made him put his pride down. Lily peeked out from behind the couch. Who's that, Daddy? This is Miss Mabel, he said gently. She brought you something. Mabel knelt down, her joints popping slightly. Hi there, sweetheart. I brought cornbread. It's got just a kiss of honey in it. Lily took the plate, eyes wide. Thank you. You're welcome, Princess, Mabel said. And when she saw the paper crown, her smile widened. That's quite the royal headwear. Did your daddy make that? No, Lily said proudly. Miss Amara did. Mabel raised an eyebrow at Nathan. Ah, you met Amara. That explains the smile on that baby's face. She's... Nathan hesitated, then found the word. Remarkable. I tanned. She's got the heart of a lion and the patience of a saint, Mabel said as she slowly stood back up. Been through more in 30 years than most folks do in a lifetime, and yet she's still out there folding paper into crowns. Nathan poured 2 glasses of sweet tea and offered her one. She seems like someone worth knowing. Mabel accepted the glass. So does she. Just make sure you're not wearing a mask when you talk to her. Nathan sipped his drink, quiet for a moment. I'm not here to fool anyone. Mabel gave him a long, measured look. Son? I was born in 1951. I've seen charm in pressed suits and I've seen it in overalls. Truth doesn't come from clothes or names. It comes from whether your actions match your intentions. Nathan glanced at Lily, now humming softly as she picked at her cornbread. I'm trying to do right by her. I can see that, Mabel nodded. But let me tell you something no one told me until it was too late. She leaned in slightly, her voice lower. You can't buy motherhood, Nathan. You can't invent it. Can't substitute it with tutors or gadgets or private chefs who serve vegan chicken nuggets. That little girl needs someone who sees her, not just raises her. Nathan absorbed the words like medicine. Not bitter, but strong. I'm not looking for a replacement, he said. I'm hoping I find someone who could love her, who could love us. And are you prepared to love back? Mabel asked, sharp and soft all at once. Nathan met her eyes. Yes. But I want it to be real. Not because of my last name. Not because of my money. Mabel smiled. More tender this time. Well, baby, you're in the right place. Here, all you've got is your smile and your sincerity. That's currency we understand. She drained her glass and set it gently on the counter. I'll be next door if y'all need anything. And Nathan? He looked up. Amara's special, but she's not a project. Don't treat her like one. He nodded solemnly. After she left, Nathan returned to the living room and sat beside Lily, who was still wearing her crown, her cheeks puffed with honeyed cornbread. She really likes me, Daddy, Lily said. Who? Miss Amara. He smiled. Yeah, she really does. Nathan leaned back, eyes on the ceiling, heart surprisingly full. Somewhere between the faded carpet and the paper crown, life had gotten quieter, slower, more honest. And for the first time in years, he didn't miss the skyline. He just missed her. The bell above the diner door jingled gently as Nathan and Lily stepped inside Rosie's diner for the third morning in a row. The same warm scent of frying bacon, maple syrup, and brewed coffee filled the air like a familiar embrace. It wasn't just breakfast they were returning for, it was something else. Someone else. Lily was skipping slightly now, her stuffed bunny tucked under one arm, and the paper crown still perfectly intact, resting proudly on her curls. Nathan had never seen her this light since Sarah died. And it wasn't because of him. It was because of the woman behind the counter who always seemed to make time pause. Amara was pouring coffee into a trucker's thermos when she spotted them. Her smile bloomed like morning light cracking through stormy clouds. Well, if it isn't my two favorite royals, she called out. Wiping her hands on her apron, Lily ran ahead, almost tripping on the vinyl tiles in her excitement. Miss Amara. Amara crouched down, catching her in a gentle hug. Hey, baby girl. Look at you still rockin' that crown. I didn't take it off, not even for cartoons, Lily said proudly. Nathan approached more slowly, hands in his jacket pockets, trying not to stare at how natural Amara looked crouched beside his daughter, like she belonged there, like she'd always belonged there. Amara rose to her feet and turned to him. Morning, Mr. Walker. Nathan chuckled. Still going with Mr. Walker, huh? She raised an eyebrow playfully. Until you tell me otherwise. That's fair. He smiled, heart skipping slightly. We'll take our usual, if that's all right. You got it. One princess short stack with chocolate milk and black coffee. No frills. She gave a wink and walked off, her braid swinging lightly across her back. Nathan watched her go again. He was doing that a lot lately. She smells like warm sugar, Lily said matter-of-factly as she climbed into the booth. Nathan sat across from her, raising an eyebrow. What? Miss Amara. She smells like sugar and stories. Like hugs. Lily adjusted her paper crown and added, I think she's like a mommy. Aye, Dad. The words hit Nathan square in the chest. He looked away quickly, pretending to stir imaginary cream into his black coffee. Lily wasn't wrong. As they waited, Nathan found himself looking around the diner. It was modest, a little worn, with cracked tiles and a jukebox that hadn't worked in years, but there was something sacred in the way people sat together, talked to each other, shared space like family. No one here was in a rush. No one here needed to prove anything, and at the heart of it all was Amara. She moved with grace. A small nod for every regular. A refill before they even asked. A kind word slipped into every plate she served. There was a rhythm to her kindness, like she was composing music with every step. She came back moments later, sliding their plates down like a magician. "Here you go, Your Highness," she told Lily. "Pancakes fit for a queen," Lily squealed. "Hearts again." "You bet. Queens don't get boring circles," Amara said with a grin. Nathan smiled at the exchange, then nodded at the booth across from them. "You have a minute to sit?" Amara hesitated. "Can't stay long, but sure." She slid in beside Lily, wiping her hands again, this time slower, as if preparing herself for something deeper than syrup and eggs. "I wanted to say thank you," Nathan began, voice lower, "for what you did yesterday, with the crown, and the pancakes, and just how you are." Amara tilted her head, unsure. "How I am?" He hesitated. "You didn't even flinch after what that man did to you. I saw how you handled him. With dignity. I don't know if I've ever seen someone stand up without lifting a hand and still command a room." Amara shrugged lightly. "You grow up in this world long enough. You learn two things. One, most people don't hate you. They hate their reflection. And two, grace confuses the angry." Nathan leaned in. "But doesn't it exhaust you, always being the one to take the high road?" She smiled softly. "Sure. But my grandma used to say, 'Baby, when you take the high road, the view's always better.'" They both chuckled. Lily, munching on her pancake, beamed at the sound of their laughter. Nathan noticed it the ease. The way Amara wasn't performing, just being, and how that, somehow, was enough. Amara's smile dimmed just a bit. "Your daughter's special." There's a quiet hurt in her eyes. "I see it. 'Cause I used to have that look too." Nathan nodded. "She lost her mom 3 years ago. We've been trying to find our way since." "I'm sorry," Amara whispered. "No child should lose that early." Nathan's jaw clenched. "She asks about her every night. Some questions I can't answer." Amara looked at Lily, her voice barely audible. "You don't have to answer all the questions. Just be the one who never stops listening." Nathan stared at her. Not just heard the words, but felt them. "You ever think about kids?" he asked before he could stop himself. She looked at him, surprised, then down at her hands. "Yeah. But life hasn't exactly made that easy." A silence fell, not awkward, just heavy, with what wasn't said. Nathan finally nodded. "Well, if life ever changes its mind, you'd make a wonderful mom." Amara looked up, the faintest blush on her cheeks. "Thank you." Just then, the kitchen bell rang, and her name was called. She stood, smoothing her apron. "I gotta get back to it, but y'all come by any time, all right?" Nathan smiled. "We will." As she walked away, Lily leaned across the booth and whispered with the sincerity only a child could hold, "Daddy, I think she's the one." Nathan stared after Amara, heart pounding for reasons he wasn't ready to name. "Yeah," he murmured. "Me too, baby girl." The next morning came with the kind of slow sunrise that made the Georgia sky blush in soft pinks and oranges. Nathan stood by the kitchen window of their small apartment, a mug of coffee in hand, watching Lily in the living room. She was sitting cross-legged on the floor, humming as she used crayons to draw a picture of Amara holding pancakes in one hand and a crown in the other. The stick figure labeled Miss Amara had curly hair and a smile twice the size of her face. Nathan stared at the drawing, his heart tugging in ways he couldn't fully explain. He wasn't falling in love, not exactly. Not yet, but he was seeing something rare in Amara, something he hadn't expected to find when he left the towering skyline of Seattle behind. She wasn't like the women who had orbited his world before, socialites who knew the weight of his net worth down to the decimal. Amara knew nothing about the company he built, the jet he parked, or the legacy he carried. She only knew Mr. Walker, the quiet man with tired eyes and a soft-spoken daughter, and somehow, that made everything feel real. Still, Nathan couldn't shake the tension in his chest. What if Amara found out who he really was? Would her kindness turn cautious? Would her laughter fade into politeness? He needed to know she was real, not just kind, not just good with Lily, but someone who wouldn't flinch when the layers came off. So he made a decision. That afternoon, Nathan left Lily with Mabel, who was delighted to babysit, and gave her a plate of fresh cornbread to keep her occupied, and headed back to Rosie's diner alone. Amara was wiping down the counter when he entered, her braid pulled high, sleeves rolled up to reveal strong, capable arms. She looked up, and her face lit up as it always did. "Well, look who's back without the crown princess," she said, teasing. "Thought I'd get some time alone with the chef," Nathan replied, taking a seat at the counter. "Maybe learn the secrets behind those cinnamon pancakes." Amara chuckled. "Those secrets are sacred, but I might be willing to share one or two if you play your cards right." He leaned in slightly, serious now. "Actually, I was hoping we could talk." Her smile faded just a bit. She wiped her hands with a towel and nodded toward the side booth. "All right. Let me tell Rosa I'm taking 5. E can." They sat across from each other, the same booth where Lily usually devoured pancakes. Today, the energy was different, more focused, more charged. Nathan cleared his throat. "I want to ask you something, and I need you to be honest." Amara studied him, cautious now. "Okay, if you found out someone you cared about wasn't who you thought they were, if they were hiding something big, would that change how you feel about them?" Her eyes narrowed slightly. Not in suspicion, but in reflection. "Depends," she said. "Are they hiding it to protect themselves? Or to fool me?" "Maybe both," Nathan admitted. She nodded slowly. "I've had people lie to me. Not about their name or their job, but about who they were. Their character. That kind of lie cuts deep." Nathan swallowed. "But what if they're trying to do better? Trying to be more than the sum of what they used to be?" Amara leaned back, arms crossed. "Then I'd want to see their actions speak louder than their fear. Because people lie when they're afraid. But if they show up consistently, kindly, humbly, then I'd believe they mean it." Nathan exhaled slowly. "That's more generous than most." "I wasn't always like this," she said, voice softening. "Life beat it into me. You either let the pain make you hard or make you kind. I chose kind. 'Cause Lord knows this world already has enough hard people." Nathan looked down at the table. "There's more to me than you see. Things I haven't said." She tilted her head. "You running from something, Nathan?" "Maybe," he said. "Or running toward something better." She nodded, her gaze steady. "Then keep running. But when you get there, don't forget who you became along the way." Died 23. They sat in silence for a moment. No tension, no pretense, just a quiet understanding blooming between them. Finally, Amara reached into her apron and pulled out a small notebook, flipping through scribbled recipes. She tore a page out and slid it across the table. "My grandma's cornbread recipe," she said. "Only ever gave this to one other person." Nathan picked it up like it was fragile. "Why me?" "Because I think you're trying to build something real," she said. "And real things take time, and trust, and sometimes, a little cornbread." Nathan smiled. "You're full of wisdom." "I'm full of something," she smirked. "Mabel says it's stubbornness." He laughed, really laughed, for the first time in weeks. Outside, the sky was darkening. Nathan stood to leave, sliding the folded paper into his coat pocket like a keepsake. "Thank you," he said, pausing at the door. Amara waved him off. "Just bring Lily back tomorrow. I've got a new pancake design I want to try." Nathan nodded. "She'll love that." He stepped out into the cool evening, heart lighter, mind racing. He hadn't told her yet. Not who he was, not what he owned. But he would. Soon. But not before he proved through action, through presence, that he was the kind of man worth knowing, even without the billions. Behind him, Amara returned to the counter, wiping down menus with a thoughtful look on her face. Neither of them knew it yet, but this was no longer just about pancakes or pretend names. This was the start of something neither one of them had expected. Truth. And the test of love without masks. The next morning, Nathan woke up to the sound of Lily singing softly to her stuffed bunny, the melody light and full of purpose. Sunlight poured through the worn blinds of the apartment, slicing across the living room floor like ribbons of warmth. He walked out to find her still in pajamas, crown perched crookedly on her head, organizing her crayons by color. "Daddy," she said, not even looking up. "We're going to see Miss Amara today, right?" Nathan grinned. "You betting against pancakes now?" "No," she said quickly. "I just don't want to be late." She said she had a surprise for me. He ruffled her curls. "Then let's get your royal attire on. There sees 9, and crest 2s of more." By the time they arrived at Rosie's diner, Amara was already behind the counter, humming along to the old Sam Cooke track playing from the radio in the corner. Her eyes lit up when she saw them. "There's my favorite girl," she called out, "and her handsome escort." Lily skipped ahead, spinning once in her little floral dress, the paper crown somehow surviving another night intact. "What's the surprise, Miss Amara?" Amara leaned in with a conspiratorial whisper. "I invented a new pancake. Wanna guess what shape it is? Stars? Nope. Flowers? Getting warmer." Lily paused, then beamed. "Bunnies," Amara gasped, grinning wide. "Ding, ding, ding. You got it." Nathan, watching the interaction, felt something stir deep in his chest again, that same pull he had felt the first day. Only now, it wasn't just admiration. It was want, not for possession, not for romance, not yet. It was a want for stability, for connection, for that soft rhythm that Amara brought with her wherever she moved. They slid into their usual booth, and moments later, Amara came back with a plate of small, fluffy, bunny-shaped pancakes, complete with whipped cream tails. Lily's laughter filled the room. Nathan looked up at her. "You really didn't have to do all this." Amara shrugged, brushing a curl from her cheek. "Making a child feel loved doesn't take much. Just intention." She was about to turn back to the kitchen when a voice called from across the diner. Well, look who's still playing house with the customers." Amara froze, her back going stiff. Nathan turned, following her gaze to a man leaning against the far booth, a smirk on his face, hands in the pockets of a worn leather jacket. He was tall, lean, with slicked back hair, and a mouth full of charm that looked like it had once been dangerous. His tone was casual, but his eyes sharp, invasive, held an undercurrent Nathan didn't like. "Hello, Marcus," Amara said without smiling. Nathan felt his jaw tighten. "You working hard, huh?" Marcus continued, stepping closer. "Still serving coffee to strangers like you're running for sainthood." "I'm working," she replied flatly. "You need something?" "I need to talk," Marcus said, eyes flicking toward Nathan and Lily. "But I can wait." "No, you can leave," Amara said, a little edge creeping into her voice. "We've said all we need to say." Nathan watched her face, her usual grace now guarded, drawn. The atmosphere shifted. Marcus chuckled, holding his hands up. All right. No need to get all noble on me. I'll catch you after your shift." He left as casually as he arrived, but the tension lingered like smoke. Amara returned to the booth a few minutes later, quieter than before. "Everything okay?" Nathan asked gently. She nodded too quickly. "Yeah, just ghosts." He didn't push, but he filed the name Marcus away in his mind. Lily, oblivious to the moment, reached across the table. "Miss Amara, can I have more bunny syrup?" Amara smiled softly, kneeling beside her again. "Of course you can, baby girl. Anything you want." Nathan watched them, the way Amara so seamlessly slipped back into joy for Lily's sake, and he wondered how many wounds she carried that she never let show. After breakfast, Nathan asked Amara if she had a moment to talk. She led him out behind the diner, near the delivery entrance where the hum of the walk-in fridge and the clatter of dishes were muted by the brick walls. "I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable," he said. "But that man, he seemed like someone who's hurt you." Amara looked at the sky instead of him. "He used to be someone I trusted. That was a mistake." Nathan stayed silent, giving her space. "He's not dangerous," she added quickly, almost as if reassuring herself. "He just doesn't like letting go." "Do you want me to do something?" Nathan asked, and Amara finally met his eyes. "No," she said, softer now. "I've fought my own battles for years. But, thank you for asking." There was a long silence. Then Amara smiled again, But it didn't reach her eyes this time. You ever wish life had a reset button? She asked. Every day, Nathan said. She looked at him a moment longer, as if measuring how much truth he carried. I think I'm glad you two walked in here, she said finally. Even if it's just for pancakes. Nathan stepped a little closer. We didn't come for pancakes. Amara's lips twitched, but she didn't respond. Instead, she turned toward the door. I should get back. Rosa hates when I disappear. To. He watched her walk inside, then looked down at his hand, still clutching the folded cornbread recipe from yesterday, like it meant more than just flour and sugar, because maybe it did. It was more than breakfast, more than a new town, more than a paper crown. It was a promise. The sun had barely risen when Nathan found himself pacing the cracked sidewalk outside Rosie's diner. He didn't know why he was there so early. Maybe it was habit, maybe it was instinct, maybe it was something deeper, the kind of pull you feel when you know someone you care about is hurting and too proud to say it. He'd barely slept. The memory of Marcus's voice, the flicker of pain in Amara's eyes, haunted him through the night. He wanted to fix it. That's what he'd always done, solve problems, close deals, eliminate threats. But Amara wasn't a business contract. She was something sacred, and sacred things didn't need saving. They needed honoring. The diner door creaked open just after 6. Amara stepped out with her apron still untied, a steaming coffee mug in one hand, her phone in the other. She paused when she saw him. You stalking me, Mr. Walker? Nathan chuckled. Maybe a little. Her eyes softened. Rough night? He nodded. You? Amara took a sip, then leaned against the brick wall. I dreamt about Marcus. Nathan frowned. What happened between you two? She took a long breath, her gaze distant. We were together, once, back when I was too young and too hopeful. He had this charm, you know, said the right things, promised me forever. Nathan stayed quiet. But charm without character is just a mask, she continued. And Marcus, he wore his well. He never hit me, if that's what you're wondering. But he had this way of making me feel small, like I wasn't enough unless I was kneeling in gratitude for crumbs. Nathan clenched his jaw. I hate men like that. Amara gave him a sideways glance. We all have shadows, Nathan. Some people learn to live past them. Others stay in the dark. He looked down. I've got my own shadows. I know. That surprised him. You do? She nodded. It's in the way you watch people, like you're waiting for the moment they change. Nathan exhaled. I used to think everyone had a price, that if you just offered the right thing, anyone could be won. And now? Now I know the best people can't be bought. Amara gave a faint smile. Took me a long time to learn that too. They stood in silence for a moment, the morning quiet wrapping around them like a shawl. Then Amara straightened. I've got an idea. Oh? You and Lily are coming over for dinner tonight. Nathan blinked. Really? Really? I figure if y'all keep showing up in my world, I might as well feed you something that doesn't come with a receipt. He grinned. What's on the menu? Fried chicken, mac and cheese, greens, and sweet tea. Oh, Gray. That sounds like heaven. She laughed. It's Tuesday, baby. Heaven's not open yet. But my kitchen is. Later that evening, Nathan and Lily stood in front of a modest brick house on the edge of town. It was small, but the porch was wide, draped in wind chimes and potted plants. Light spilled from the windows, warm and golden. Lily clutched a small bouquet of grocery store daisies. Do you think she'll like them? She'll love them, Nathan said. Amara opened the door before they knocked. Look at y'all. You clean up nice. Lily ran up and handed her the flowers. These are for you. Amara knelt, touched. They're beautiful. Thank you, baby. Inside, the house smelled like butter and garlic and soul. The dining table was set simply mismatched plates, cloth napkins, candles flickering. Hope y'all hungry, she said, waving them in. The meal was nothing short of a blessing. The chicken was crispy and seasoned like a story passed down through generations. The mac and cheese had that perfect crust. Lily had seconds of everything. Nathan had thirds. They talked, about silly things, about music, about cartoons. Lily told stories, and Amara listened like every word mattered. And then, after dinner, as Lily played with Amara's old record player in the living room, Nathan found himself washing dishes while Amara dried. "You do dishes too?" she teased. He smirked. "Don't tell anyone. Might ruin my rugged mystique." They moved around the kitchen in sync, like they'd done this 100 times before. No grand declarations, no confessions, just shared space, shared silence. When the last dish was done, Amara turned to him, serious now. "Why are you really here, Nathan? In this town? In this life?" He didn't flinch. "Because I got tired of being surrounded by everything, except what mattered." She looked at him a long moment. "And what matters now?" He looked toward Lily, then back at her. "You, her, this." Amara reached out slowly, brushing a crumb from his sleeve. "You're not just pretending anymore, are you?" He shook his head. "No, not even a little." Outside, wind chimes danced in the breeze. Inside, something old and sacred began to stir between them. Something neither of them dared to name yet. And in the next room, Lily played an old Sam Cooke record on repeat, swaying slowly, wearing her paper crown like it was the most natural thing in the world. The storm came fast. By the time Nathan carried Lily back to the apartment, rain was slicing through the night air like silver needles, and thunder rolled across the sky in slow, ominous waves. He hadn't expected it. The forecast said clear skies, but Georgia had a way of doing what it wanted. Inside their apartment, the old radiator hummed as Nathan toweled Lily's hair dry, her giggles echoing off the cracked walls. She was still riding the high of dinner at Amara's belly full, cheeks glowing. "Miss Amara let me dance on her feet," Lily said proudly, wrapped in her bunny robe. She said, "I had rhythm." "You do," Nathan said. "Definitely from your mother's side." Lily yawned and leaned against him. "Do you think Miss Amara likes me?" Nathan kissed the top of her head. "I think she loves you." A soft, sleepy smile spread across Lily's face. "I love her too." He tucked her into bed and stood there a while, watching her fall asleep with the stuffed bunny in one arm and the paper crown resting beside her pillow. Something tightened in his chest. Something fierce. Something protective. Outside, lightning lit up the street. Nathan glanced at the window and froze. There, leaning against the far lamppost in the rain, was Marcus, soaked through. Still. Waiting. Nathan's eyes narrowed. 20 minutes later, Nathan stood under the awning of Rosie's diner, his coat soaked, his patience thinner than the puddle under his shoes. He wasn't sure why he came. Maybe instinct. Maybe warning. The diner was closed for the night, but a dim light glowed from the kitchen. He knocked on the side door. Amara opened it wearing an oversized t-shirt and joggers, her braid tied into a loose bun. Her eyes widened in surprise. "Nathan?" "What?" "Marcus is outside my building," he said without hesitation. Her breath caught. "What?" "He's not just lingering anymore. He's watching. I don't like it." She stepped back, heart pounding. "I thought he was just passing through." "I don't think so," Nathan said, voice lower. "And I think you need to tell me the rest." Amara looked away, arms crossed. "Marcus and we ended things 2 years ago, but he never really let go. He wasn't violent, just controlling, always showing up, always reminding me I owed him something." Nathan's fists clenched. "You don't owe him anything. I know that now," she said. "But back then, I didn't. I let guilt drag me into years of silence, of apology, even when I was the one who left." He stepped forward. "You ever feel unsafe?" She nodded slowly. "Not yet. But tonight, the way you said it, yeah, it feels different." Nathan was silent for a moment, then, "You're staying with us tonight." Her eyes widened. "Nathan, you can take my bed. Lily's got the couch fort she built. I'll sleep on the floor if I have to." Amara hesitated, her pride flickering like a flame caught in wind. "I don't want to intrude." "You're not," he said gently. "You're family. At least, I hope you are. She searched his face, looking for cracks in the offer. There were none. Just steady warmth and a quiet kind of urgency that made it hard to say no. Okay, she whispered. Back at the apartment, Lily was fast asleep, Bunny tucked beneath her chin. Nathan carried in a spare pillow and blanket, setting them on the couch. Amara stood at the threshold, eyes scanning the small space. This is cozier than I expected, she said, her voice light. He smiled. I traded a 3,000 square foot penthouse for this. Voluntarily. Must have been one hell of a view. He nodded. It was. But it never felt like home. She stepped closer. And this does? He glanced around the faint smell of laundry detergent, the old lamp flickering in the corner, the faint hum of the fridge. Then he looked at her. Yes. She reached out and touched his hand, gently. Thank you. For tonight. For trusting me. He met her eyes. It goes both ways. Their hands stayed touching just a second longer than necessary. Then she stepped back and headed into the bedroom, door clicking softly behind her. Nathan lay on the couch that night, blanket pulled to his chest, unable to sleep. His thoughts raced, not with fear but with questions, about Amara, about Lily, about the man he used to be, and the one he was becoming. In the quiet, a voice echoed back from earlier that night. Your family. At least, I hope you are. He meant it. God, he meant it more than he could say. But family required truth, and soon, very soon, he'd have to tell her everything. Morning came quietly. Nathan stirred on the couch as golden sunlight crept through the blinds. His neck ached, and the throw blanket had fallen halfway to the floor, but none of that mattered. What mattered was the soft hum he heard from the kitchen and the smell of fresh coffee. He sat up slowly and padded across the room. There, standing at the stove barefoot, hair wrapped in a scarf, was Amara. She was wearing one of his flannel shirts, rolled up at the sleeves, humming low and soft to herself as she stirred scrambled eggs. Morning, he said, voice still groggy. She turned with a smile. Morning. Hope you don't mind, I found the eggs and made myself at home. I mind a little, he teased, leaning against the doorframe. Because now I don't want you to leave. Amara chuckled, eyes sparkling. We'll see how you feel after you taste these eggs. 8. They sat at the tiny table, sipping coffee from mismatched mugs, sharing quiet glances and occasional laughter. Lily wandered in, yawning, still wearing her crown and dragging her bunny behind her like a royal soldier. Miss Amara, she gasped, surprised and delighted. You slept here? Amara reached out and gently lifted Lily into her lap. I did. Sweetheart. I had a sleepover with your daddy. Nathan nearly choked on his coffee. Amara winked, and Lily just nodded seriously, as if sleepovers were a sacred tradition not to be questioned. After breakfast, Lily went off to color, leaving Nathan and Amara alone again. He took a breath. Amara, I need to talk to you. For real. Her smile faded. Okay. I haven't been honest with you. Not because I didn't trust you, but because I didn't want to scare you away before I had the chance to show you who I really am. Her posture shifted. She didn't move away, just grew still. I'm not just Nathan Walker, he began. My full name is Nathan Walker Monroe. I'm the CEO of Monroe Holdings. I stepped away from it a few months ago, but I still own the company. It's one of the biggest investment firms in the country. Amara stared, silent. I didn't come to this town by accident, he continued. I came here looking for something real. For Lily. And for myself. After Sarah died, I was drowning in noise, money, headlines, fake friends. I needed out, Minister. And so you lied, Amara said, her voice soft but edged. I didn't lie about who I am, he replied, trying to keep his voice steady. I just didn't lead with it. I wanted you to know me without the name, without the money. She looked away, toward the window. You told me people lie when they're afraid, she said quietly. I was, he admitted. Still am. I'm afraid of losing the first real connection I've had in years. Amara didn't speak for a moment. When she did, her words came carefully. Do you know how many people have tried to make me feel small for not having more? How many times I've been treated like my worth depended on my job, or my clothes, or my paycheck. Nathan nodded solemnly. I do. So when someone comes along and treats me like an equal, she continued, and then tells me they've been hiding a billion-dollar truth. Her voice cracked just slightly. It makes me wonder if I was just another part of some experiment, another real-life test for a man with more power than he knows what to do with. Nathan reached for her hand, but she pulled back. I didn't choose you because you didn't have money, he said, eyes pleading. I didn't fall for you because of pity or fascination. I fell because you are the kindest, strongest person I've met. You see people. You saw Lily. Tears shimmered in Amara's eyes, but she didn't let them fall. And now that you've told me the truth, she said, standing slowly, I need time to figure out what that means for me. Amara, I'm not walking away, she added quickly. But I can't pretend like nothing changed. Because everything just did. She walked toward the door, her bare feet soft against the old wood floor. At the threshold, she turned. Thank you for telling me. That matters. And then she was gone. Nathan stood in the silence, the air heavy with the kind of truth that didn't offer clean resolutions. He looked down the hallway where Lily played quietly, humming to herself. The truth was out. Now came the hard part, proving it hadn't changed what was real between them. 3 days passed. The mornings came and went with Lily's laughter echoing through the apartment and the occasional mention of Miss Amara that Nathan could only respond to with a quiet, she's just busy, sweetheart. But Amara wasn't just busy. She was distant. Not cruel, not cold, but absent in a way that felt deeper than space. It was the silence of someone standing just behind a closed door, unsure whether to knock or walk away. Nathan didn't push. He couldn't. For once in his life, all his power, his wealth, his name, his resources meant nothing. Not when it came to her. And strangely, he respected that. It made him want to earn her all the more. On the 4th morning, Lily tugged at his sleeve as he made breakfast. Daddy, why hasn't Miss Amara come to see us? Nathan knelt beside her. Sometimes grown-ups need time to think. Lily tilted her head. Did you make her sad? Nathan swallowed. I think I surprised her. And sometimes surprises hurt when they come from people you care about. Lily nodded solemnly. Maybe we should make her pancakes. He smiled, heart aching. Maybe we should. That afternoon, Nathan stood outside Rosie's diner, a white box in his hands. Inside were imperfect pancakes, hearts, stars, a few blobs that Lily insisted were bunnies, and on top, a sticky note written in crayon. From Lily and Daddy. To. We miss you. He stepped inside. The place was busy, late lunch, crowd chatting over sweet tea and grilled cheese. Amara was behind the counter, her braid tucked into a bun, sleeves rolled up, face unreadable. She looked up, saw him, and for a brief second, her mask slipped. Nathan, she said, voice cautious. I come bearing carbs, he said, lifting the box. A faint smile touched her lips. Can we talk? He asked. She glanced at the cook. Give me 5. They walked out the back door, into the alley where the summer heat pressed against the bricks, and the dumpster gave off the faint scent of yesterday's fries. Nathan handed her the box. She opened it slowly, then blinked down at the pancakes. Bunnies? Sort of, he said. Lily did the decorating. Amara closed the box, a soft laugh escaping her lips. She's got heart. She gets that from you. They stood in silence for a moment. Then Nathan spoke again. I haven't reached out because I didn't want to chase you into a corner. Amara nodded. Thank you, but I need you to know this. What I told you the truth, it wasn't a trap. I didn't reveal it to test you or to pull some grand gesture. I told you because it was time. Because you deserve to know who I am. She turned to face him, arms crossed but her stance less rigid. I'm not mad that you're rich, she said. I'm mad that you didn't trust me enough to say it sooner. I was afraid it would ruin everything. You're not wrong, she said plainly. It changed things. Because I thought we were standing on even ground. We still are, too. No, she said, eyes sharp. We're not. Because you get to choose when to reveal your world, and I'm still living paycheck to paycheck. Nathan looked away. I know. I don't need your money, Nathan. I need your honesty, your presence. I need to know that if I step toward this, I'm not just stepping into some fairy tale that disappears the second I stop smiling. He nodded slowly. I don't want to change who you are, Amara. I just want to share what I have because I've never known anything worth sharing until now. Amara held his gaze. Then, slowly, she reached into her apron and pulled out the folded sticky note from the pancake box. She ran her thumb over Lily's crayon letters. She misses me? Every morning. Amara smiled faintly. I miss her too. And me? She looked up. You? I'm still deciding. Nathan let out a breath of nervous laughter. That's fair. She tucked the note into her pocket. Come back tomorrow morning, you and Lily. He blinked. Just like that? No, she said. Not just like that, but it's a start. The next morning, Nathan walked into Rosie's with Lily at his side, her bunny under one arm, her crown slightly bent but still worn proudly. Amara was already at their booth, a small vase of daisies at the center. She stood as they approached, and for the first time in days, her smile met her eyes. I saved your seat, she said. Lily climbed into the booth and immediately started telling Amara about a dream she had involving a bunny parade and a pancake throne. Nathan slid in across from them, heart steady. They didn't talk about money. They didn't talk about Marcus. They didn't talk about power or difference or fear. They talked about Lily's drawings, and how the jukebox still didn't work, and how Amara was thinking of buying a second-hand sewing machine just to make her own aprons. It wasn't a perfect morning, but it was real. And for the first time since his confession, Nathan believed they still had a chance. It was a Friday evening when Marcus returned, not with a storm or a shout, but with a slow swagger and a smug smirk that made Nathan's blood run hot the second he stepped into Rosie's diner. Amara had just brought over Lily's plate a pancake shaped like a giraffe this time, and was laughing softly as the little girl named it Princess Tall Tall. Nathan was sipping his coffee, watching the scene with quiet gratitude, when he saw Marcus step inside. Amara froze. Nathan felt the air in the room shift. Mabel, wiping down a table in the corner, stopped mid-motion. Even the kitchen quieted. Evenin', sunshine, Marcus drawled, walking straight toward the booth. Nathan stood. I think you've lost your way, he said evenly. Marcus didn't look at him, he looked at Amara. We need to talk. Ezra pressed hers in the final as this. We've talked, Amara replied, her voice flat but firm. We've said everything. I don't think so, Marcus said. Not after what I found out. Amara's eyes narrowed. What are you talking about? He leaned in just a little. Too close. That your new man is actually Nathan Monroe. CEO. Billionaire. A man with more secrets than you think. Bet you didn't know he was hiding that. Did you? Nathan stepped between them. You're done. Marcus finally turned toward him. You think money protects you? Think it makes you better? I've known women like her long before you ever set foot in this town. Nathan's hands clenched at his sides. I've had enough of your mouth, he said. Marcus smirked. Hit me, pretty boy. See how far that gets you? No, Amara said, stepping forward. That's what he wants. He wants you to get angry. He wants a show. She looked at Marcus directly, voice calm. You're not here because you care about me. You're here because you hate being irrelevant. But here's the thing, you always were. I just didn't know it then. For a moment, silence blanketed the diner. Then Marcus laughed bitterly. You always did think you were better than me. No, Amara said. I finally learned I deserve better. Mabel stepped forward, holding her phone. I've got the sheriff on speed dial, sugar. And I got every word of that little performance recorded. You want to leave now, or you want your mama to see you in cuffs again? Marcus glared at all of them, but he didn't say another word. He turned and walked out, the door slamming behind him hard enough to make the windows rattle. Nathan exhaled, fists still tight. You okay? He asked Amara. She nodded, then looked down at Lily, who was watching the whole thing with wide, quiet eyes. Amara knelt beside her. Hey, sweet girl. I'm sorry about that. Lily looked at her, serious. He was mean. Intentional too. He was, Amara said softly. But he's gone now. Lily reached out and hugged her around the neck. I don't want him to come back. Amara held her close. He won't, I promise. Later that evening, back at the apartment, Nathan stood by the window, staring at the empty street outside. Amara sat on the couch, gently combing Lily's hair while the little girl told stories about Princess Tall Tall and the evil man who got sent to the sky in a rocket ship. Nathan turned to Amara. You were incredible today. I was scared, she admitted. But I wasn't alone. He crossed the room and sat beside her. He's not coming back. Amara nodded. Even if he does, I'm not the woman I was before. Lily leaned against her shoulder, half asleep now. Miss Amara, you're the best. Nathan looked at them, heart so full it ached. Amara, he said quietly. I know we've been through a lot in a short time. I know I've asked a lot of you. But tonight, seeing you stand your ground like that, I've never respected anyone more. She looked at him. I don't want your pity, Nathan. I'm not offering pity, he said. I'm offering my heart. Amara blinked, caught off guard. Not just because of what you did tonight, he added, but because of who you are. Who you've always been. Even when I was pretending, you were real. A long pause. Then Amara spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. You're not just saying that because you're scared I'll leave? No, Nathan said. I'm saying it because I finally see where home is. She studied his face, and for the first time since the truth came out, she reached for his hand. They sat there, three souls stitched together by honesty, struggle, and quiet, everyday courage. And in the corner, Lily, now dozing peacefully, whispered in her sleep, Princess Tall Tall wins. Yes, she does. The following Sunday morning arrived with a kind of calm that wrapped around the town like a warm shawl. Church bells rang in the distance. The breeze carried the scent of fresh bread from a bakery 2 blocks over. It was the kind of morning where people nodded to each other on porches and dogs lazed in the sun, bellies exposed to the heavens. Nathan hadn't planned on taking Lily to church that day, but Amara had called. I'm singing today, she said, her voice casual, though he could hear the tremor beneath it. Just a solo. Nothing fancy. Then, we'll be there, he replied without hesitation. Wear something decent, she added with a teasing tone. It's not a stockholder meeting, but we still say amen in our Sunday best. He smiled to himself long after the call ended. The little white church sat at the edge of town, hugged by oaks and crowned with a weathered steeple. Inside, the pews creaked and the stained glass bathed the congregation in soft hues of crimson and blue. There were no flashing lights, no projection screens, just wood, light, and voices that rose straight to the heavens. Nathan sat between Lily and Mabel, who had taken it upon herself to make sure the girl gets a proper mint before the service starts. Lily was already on her second peppermint, legs swinging under the pew, her crown traded for a flower clip. Nathan wore a crisp button-down, one Amara hadn't seen yet. He caught her eye across the sanctuary just as she stepped up to the pulpit. Her dress was a soft rose color. Simple, elegant. She looked beautiful, but more than that, she looked anchored. She didn't announce herself. She didn't introduce the song. She simply closed her eyes, nodded to the organist, and began. The first note slid through the air like silk. It was, "His eye is on the sparrow." Her voice wasn't performative. It wasn't the kind of voice trained to wow an audience. It was pure, soulful. The kind of voice that sounded like it came from someone who had cried in quiet rooms and danced in kitchens while no one watched. A voice that had known pain and praise and perseverance. Nathan felt his throat tighten. Lily leaned against him and whispered, "She sings like Grandma used to." He wrapped his arm around her and nodded. "Yeah, baby. She really does. A." By the time Amara reached the final line, "I sing because I'm free," there wasn't a dry eye in the room. Even Mabel sniffed and muttered, "Girl got the spirit and the soul." Amara stepped down quietly, not needing applause. She returned to her seat near the choir, eyes never quite meeting Nathan's, but he saw the way her hands trembled slightly in her lap. After service, the congregation spilled out onto the front lawn. Children ran barefoot in the grass. Elders traded stories about casseroles and grandbabies. It was community in its purest form. Amara found Nathan near the shade of an old oak, Lily holding tight to his hand. "You came," Amara said, a little breathless. "I told you I would." She smiled. "I forgot how scary that song feels until I started singing it." "You made it feel like home," Nathan replied. Lily reached up and took Amara's hand. "Will you come with us for pancakes?" Amara hesitated, looking between them. Nathan added, "It's our turn to cook this time." She arched a brow. "Your pancakes come with bunny ears?" "No," he said, "but we're working on bacon boaties." Amara laughed, the sound easy and full. Later that morning, they stood together in Nathan's small kitchen, Nathan flipping pancakes, Amara slicing fruit, Lily setting the table with the precision of a royal banquet planner. There was music playing low in the background, Etta James, something old and honey-rich. They didn't talk about Marcus. They didn't talk about wealth or secrets or the weight of the past. They talked about syrup preferences and which fruit belonged in pancakes. Lily insisted on strawberries. Amara voted for bananas. At one point, Amara reached up into the cabinet, and Nathan, without thinking, reached over her shoulder to grab the honey. They paused in the closeness. Their eyes met, and he kissed her. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't planned. It was the kind of kiss that didn't demand, didn't expect, it just was. Like breathing, like peace. When they pulled back, Amara touched her fingers to her lips. Nathan spoke first. "I meant that." "I know," she whispered. "Me too." Lily, completely unaware, called from the table, "Miss Amara, you forgot the whipped cream." Amara turned, smiling. "Coming, baby girl." She looked back once more before walking away, softness in her eyes, but also strength. A woman still finding her balance, but no longer running from the truth. Nathan watched her go, something settling deep inside his chest. This wasn't the end of the story. It was the beginning of something better. 2 days after the church service, the calm broke. It began with a call. Nathan had just dropped Lily off at school and was walking back through the town square, sipping lukewarm coffee, when his phone buzzed. Unknown number. He hesitated, then answered. "Mr. Monroe." A clipped male voice came through the line. "This is Evan Price. I represent the legal team of Mrs. Candace Lowell, Sarah Monroe's mother." Nathan froze mid-step. "Candace?" "Yes, sir. Mrs. Lowell has recently become aware of your current living situation, and the woman, Miss Amara Lewis, you've been publicly associating with." Nathan's jaw clenched. "Is there a point to this call, Mr. Price?" "There is. Mrs. Lowell is prepared to challenge custody of your daughter, Artie." The world blurred. "She believes Lily is being exposed to instability and individuals with no proper background checks or verified references. As the grandmother of the child, she is well within her rights to petition the court for guardianship, particularly if she can prove a pattern of reckless behavior." Nathan stopped in the middle of the sidewalk. "You're threatening to take my daughter away?" "I'm delivering a message. Mrs. Lowell has resources, connections, and influence in the state court system. I suggest you take this seriously." The line went dead. Nathan stood frozen for a full minute before he moved again, heart pounding not in fear, but fury. Candace had always been cold, but after Sarah's funeral, she'd seemed to vanish. No calls, no visits. And now, suddenly, she wanted Lily. He knew the reason. It wasn't about love. It wasn't even about custody. It was about control and about Amara. By the time Nathan returned to the diner, his face was set like stone. He walked through the door, eyes searching for her, ignoring the noise and greetings from regulars. Amara looked up from the register. The moment she saw his face, she slipped around the counter and met him halfway. "What happened?" she asked. "We need to talk, in private." He took her out the back, near the alley where they'd stood days before. Except this time, the air wasn't warm. It was sharp with tension. "It's Candace," he said. "She's threatening to go to court to take Lily." Amara went still. "Why now?" "Because of you." His voice cracked. "She doesn't like that I'm with someone who doesn't fit her mold. A black woman. A waitress. Someone she can't control." Amara's eyes flashed. Let me guess she sent a lawyer instead of showing up herself. He nodded. I've dealt with women like her, she said quietly. They don't care about children. They care about appearances. ID was. Nathan looked at her, a storm in his eyes. I don't know what to do. If she takes this to court, she could twist the story. Paint me unstable. Say I'm not providing a safe environment. Amara stepped closer. Then we beat her at her own game. We don't hide. We stand tall. We show who we are. She's got money judges in her pocket. Then we have truth, Amara said firmly. And a community that's seen the kind of father you are. You're not alone in this. He exhaled slowly. She wants to drag you into court records, smear you. I'm not afraid of her. Nathan touched her face gently. I am. Not for me, for you and Lily. Amara didn't pull away. Then let's fight smart. You've got the name, the means. I've got the truth. We can win this. Nathan pulled her into an embrace, his heartbeat pounding against hers. I've never needed anyone the way I need you now, she whispered. Then let me be here. No more walls. That evening, the town felt different. Word had spread, not of the custody threat but of Candace's presence. A black car had been seen parked at the courthouse. A woman in heels and pearls had asked about the black girl from the diner. The gossip moved like wildfire. At home, Nathan sat Lily down. There may be some questions coming soon, he said gently. About where we live, who we're with, about Miss Amara. Lily frowned. Did I do something wrong? No, baby, not at all. This isn't your fault. She leaned on his arm. Are they trying to take me away? Nathan felt his throat tighten. No one's going to take you. Not while I'm breathing. Lily's voice was small. I want to stay with you. And with Miss Amara. He kissed her forehead. And you will. Meanwhile, Amara sat at her kitchen table, pen in hand, writing something she hadn't touched in years. Her own story. A character reference. A full background. Employment records. Letters from co-workers. Church members. Even the librarian. She was building a case not just for herself, but for Lily. She wasn't fighting to prove she was good enough. She was fighting to show the world that Lily already had a family, and that no courtroom could rewrite love. The next day, Nathan stood before his attorney in Atlanta. We're not just playing defense, he said. We're going on the offensive. We file first. We show stability. Community ties. We bring everyone. And the woman? The lawyer asked, glancing at a file marked Amara Lewis. Nathan smiled. She's the reason we win. The courthouse in Atlanta loomed tall and gray, its columns rising like sentinels against the sky. On the morning of the preliminary hearing, the city hummed with the energy of midweek traffic. But inside that building, time felt slower, denser. Nathan arrived in a dark gray suit, no tie, flanked by his attorney and a silence that made his usual confidence feel distant. Beside him, Amara wore a navy blue dress with a high neckline, her natural curls pinned neatly, her face composed but unreadable. Her hand clutched a worn leather folder filled with letters of character, work history, church records, and one handmade card from Lily. It read, Miss Amara makes me smile every day. I love her pancakes and her hugs. It was signed with crayon hearts and a purple crown. They stepped through the metal detectors without a word. Amara had never been in a courtroom before, but she walked like she belonged there. Candace Lowell, in contrast, made her entrance known. She arrived in a tailored beige skirt suit, pearls, and pumps sharp enough to pierce granite. Two attorneys followed behind her, carrying case files and thin smiles. When Candace saw Amara, her expression tightened not with fear, but with disdain barely hidden beneath civility. Nathan caught it, and he didn't flinch. The courtroom wasn't full, just the parties involved, their counsel, and a judge with tired eyes and a gold-rimmed nameplate, Honorable Judge Sylvia M. Calhoun. A black woman. Candace's lips thinned slightly at that. Judge Calhoun scanned the opening motions. Let's be clear, this is a preliminary hearing. We're here to determine if there's cause to proceed with a formal custody challenge. Mr. Monroe currently has sole custody, granted upon the passing of the child's mother. Mrs. Lowell, you are seeking emergency reconsideration. Candace's lawyer rose. Yes, Your Honor. We are concerned about the child's living conditions, her exposure to an unvetted woman of questionable background. Amara's attorney stood immediately. Objection, Your Honor. That's a character attack, not a legal argument. Sustained, Judge Calhoun said sharply. Stick to facts, counsel. The lawyer shifted. Our client believes the child is being raised in an unstable environment, with a father who has abandoned his estate and wealth in favor of a waitress. Nathan stood. Your Honor, I voluntarily left my company to focus on raising my daughter after her mother passed. Our home is safe, registered, and occupied full-time by me and Lily. We have a strong community, a consistent daily routine, and no history of neglect or abuse. Is Miss Amara Lewis living with you? No, Your Honor, but she's become a trusted part of our lives. My daughter adores her. She brings structure, kindness, and support that no amount of money can replicate. Candace stood abruptly. I don't care about her pancakes, she hissed. I care that my granddaughter is being raised by someone without a degree, without family legacy, and without a clue how to raise a Monroe. The courtroom quieted. Judge Calhoun peered over her glasses. Mrs. Lull, sit down. Candace fumed, but obeyed. Amara stood next, slowly. Your Honor, she began, voice steady. I never asked to become part of this. I met Nathan and Lily through work. I didn't know who he was, not the money, not the name. All I saw was a man raising his daughter with patience, humor, and heart, and a little girl who missed her mother. She paused, then continued. I've worked since I was 15. I don't have a fancy degree, but I've looked after the children of this town for years. I've stayed late, sat through school plays, made soup for sick kids. And Lily is special. Not because of her last name, but because she still believes people are good. I would never do anything to harm her. And I won't let anyone else hurt her either. The room held its breath. Then Judge Calhoun asked, Do you consider yourself part of this child's family, Miss Lewis? Amara looked at Nathan, then at Lily's crayon note tucked into her folder. Yes, Your Honor, I do. Thank you, Mina. An hour later, the judge called both legal teams into her chambers. Outside in the hallway, Nathan and Amara sat on a bench in silence. Every footstep echoed. Every door creak felt loaded. Then the door opened. Judge Calhoun's voice was firm. No evidence presented warrants a reconsideration of custody at this time. Mr. Monroe retains sole custody. The court advises both parties to seek family mediation before proceeding with any future motions. Nathan exhaled. Candace stormed past, her heels clicking like gunshots on marble. She didn't speak to Nathan, didn't even glance at Amara, but just before reaching the exit, she turned back. This isn't over. Nathan met her stare. It is for us. That night, back at the apartment, Amara tucked Lily into bed with her usual song and a soft kiss to her forehead. The little girl clung to her tighter than usual. Did I do good today? Lily whispered. You did perfect, baby, Amara replied. You were brave. DG. Nathan watched from the hallway. Later, as Amara came into the kitchen, he handed her a glass of wine. She smiled. You okay? I think I am, he said, slowly. But only because of you. She sipped, then leaned against the counter. Are you ready to stop hiding now? She asked gently. He looked at her, really looked. I've never been more ready. Ew. Fall settled into the town like a memory returning home. Leaves rustled down sleepy streets. Pumpkin pies cooled on windowsills, and scarves began to appear around familiar necks. There was a softness to everything now, a gentleness that hadn't existed weeks ago. Nathan walked with Lily through the farmer's market one Saturday morning, her little hand wrapped in his, her other arm proudly holding a bag of apples Amara had helped her pick. They stopped by a vendor selling wooden toys. Lily knelt beside a hand-carved rocking horse. Can we get it for Miss Amara? She asked. Nathan smiled. Why Miss Amara? She likes horses, Lily said confidently. She told me once. When she was little, she wanted to ride every horse in the world. Nathan looked at the rocking horse, then at his daughter. Let's get it, he said. And maybe. That afternoon, Nathan called Amara. I want to take you somewhere, he said. Just us. Amara hesitated. Lily? Mabel has her. Pancakes, puzzles, the works. I need you for myself tonight. She was quiet for a beat. All right. Pick me up at 7. The sun was just beginning to set when Nathan pulled up to the hill outside town, a grassy bluff that overlooked the lake where the trees blazed gold and amber in reflection. A small table had been set. Simple, elegant, candles flickering under glass jars, a bottle of red wine already uncorked. Amara stepped out of the car slowly, her eyes wide. Nathan, I didn't want a restaurant, he said. I wanted this. He pulled out her chair, and they sat under the open sky as the world turned dusky and soft. They ate. They laughed. They lingered in the pauses like people who no longer feared silence. Nathan, Amara said, after a while. Why me? He turned toward her. Because the moment I saw you, I felt peace. You didn't try to impress me. You didn't ask what I had. You just were. She looked down. You know, I've been wondering, ever since the court hearing, what it means to belong somewhere. You belong wherever your heart's heard, he said quietly. And mine's been listening for you since the first night you handed me a plate of waffles and asked me if I wanted cream or maple. Amara laughed, but it caught in her throat. He reached into his coat pocket. I know this is fast. I know we've had hard moments. But Amara, I've had money and power, and people pretending to love me, and I've never been sure of anything the way I'm sure of you. He pulled out a small wooden box, placed it on the table, and opened it. Inside was not a diamond, but a simple gold ring, engraved with tiny letters, You are home. Amara stared at it, hands trembling. Nathan knelt beside her. I'm not asking for a wedding tomorrow. I'm asking if I can build a life with you. One choice at a time. You, me, and Lily. A family. Tears welled in her eyes. This isn't a fairy tale. No, he whispered. It's better. It's real. She didn't speak for a moment. Then she reached down, took the ring, and slid it onto her own finger. Yes, Nathan stood, pulling her into a quiet, trembling embrace. Above them, stars blinked into the velvet sky. Amara whispered, You are my home too. Back at the apartment, Lily was asleep on the couch, curled beneath a blanket. Mabel gave Nathan a knowing smile as she picked up her purse. She wake up? Nope, Nathan said, dreaming about horses. Amara walked over and kissed Lily's forehead. Lily stirred just slightly, murmuring, Princess tall, tall. Finally got her castle. Amara whispered, Yes, baby girl, she did. Rain came hard that night. It wasn't the gentle kind that tapped against the windows like a lullaby. It was the kind that roared, shook the gutters, and turned streets into rivers. The wind howled like it had something to prove, bending trees and snapping branches. Amara was the first to wake. Her instincts had always been sharp-honed by years of getting herself home safely in bad neighborhoods and watching over other people's kids. She rose from the bed in Nathan's apartment, padded barefoot to the window. Lightning flashed. The lake, just visible beyond the rooftops, boiled under the storm's wrath. Then she heard it, the loud crack of something breaking. Nathan stirred behind her. What is it? I think something fell, she said, moving toward the hallway. That's when the power went out. Lily screamed from her room. Nathan was already moving, flashlight from the nightstand in hand. Amara ran behind him, heart pounding. They reached Lily's door together. Nathan swung it open, and Lily flung herself into his arms, sobbing. I heard glass, she cried. Something broke. Amara looked around quickly. A branch had smashed through the window shards across the floor, rain soaking the rug. The wind rattled what was left of the frame. Nathan cradled Lily tight. It's okay. We're okay. Amara grabbed a blanket and wrapped it around the little girl, lifting her into her own arms. Let's get away from this room. They moved into the living room, away from the broken glass. Nathan lit 2 emergency candles. Amara sat on the couch with Lily still shaking in her arms. I hate storms, Lily whimpered. I hate when things break. Nathan sat beside her. It's scary, I know. But nothing's hurt you. And nothing's going to. I see a sage, Amara whispered into Lily's hair. Storms make noise, but they don't last forever. Lily looked up at them. Can I sleep with you guys? Of course, baby, Amara said. They all curled up together on the couch. Nathan on one side, Amara on the other, Lily tucked safely between them. The storm continued to scream outside, but inside, there was warmth, and there was love. By morning, the worst had passed. Nathan stepped outside to assess the damage. The window was completely shattered. Part of the fence was gone. The street was littered with tree limbs, but no one was hurt. The apartment had held. Inside, Amara was fixing breakfast using a little portable gas stove Mabel had insisted he keep. She flipped eggs, while Lily colored at the table. Her crown perched slightly crooked. Nathan leaned against the doorway, watching them. "How do you always know what to do?" he asked. Amara shrugged. "I've been in enough messes to know how to clean one up." ADI ground. "You make this feel like home," he said. Amara looked at him over her shoulder. "You're not still shaken up, are you? I've lived through business collapses, lawsuits, betrayal from my own board. But last night when the glass shattered, my only thought was whether Lily and you were okay. That's how I know this isn't just something nice. It's everything." Amara turned off the stove, walked over, and took his hand. "I've always lived like storms were just part of the deal," she said. "But this time, I had someone beside me." He kissed her forehead. "You always will." Later that day, they began repairs. Mabel brought tools. The diner's cook, Earl, showed up with plywood. A neighbor offered a generator. Even the old man from the bookstore brought over hot coffee and a blanket for Lily. Amara stood in the front yard, watching it all happen, overwhelmed. Nathan stepped beside her. "This is what family looks like. Not just blood choice. People who show up." She nodded slowly. "I've never had that before." He looked at her. "You do now." In the distance, Candace's black car drove slowly past the house. Amara caught it first. Her body tensed. Nathan followed her gaze. "She's watching. That's all she knows how to do, look and judge from the outside." "Let her," Amara said. "She'll never understand this kind of love. Not unless she earns it." Dugana Gressfree one. That night, Lily danced in the living room to an old jazz record, wearing a new paper crown Amara had helped her make. It was silver, with hearts and lightning bolts drawn in glitter glue. Nathan looked at it and asked, "What's that symbol?" Lily twirled and said, "It means even storms can't stop princesses." He looked at Amara. She smiled. "She's right, you know." Nathan wrapped his arms around her. "Then let's build a castle strong enough to outlast any storm." "Ninth." Amara leaned into him, whispering. "We already did." 3 days after the storm, the sky cleared, but not everything stayed calm. The sun returned, golden and generous, warming the rooftops and drying the sidewalks. Repairs began in earnest. Neighbors helped each other. Laughter returned to porches, and Lily, crowned once again, declared she was officially the weather boss. But as peace resumed, unease crept in quietly, like a shadow waiting just beyond the frame. Amara noticed it first. A man sitting in a dark sedan, parked across the street from the diner. Same time. Every day. He never got out. Just sat there, watching. The first time, she brushed it off. The second time, she told Nathan. By the third time, she called Mabel. "Oh, honey," Mabel said, peering through the blinds. "That ain't random. That's surveillance." Nathan's jaw clenched. "It's Candace. She's gathering ammunition," Amara said quietly, waiting for something to go wrong. Nathan nodded. "She's not done." That night, Nathan called a security consultant, one who used to work for the company back when his life was all boardrooms and black cars. A man named Jack Keller. Jack was tall, wiry, with eyes that had seen too much. He showed up the next morning wearing jeans, boots, and a badge of calm professionalism. "You weren't paranoid," Jack said after a few hours. "You were right. Cars registered to a dummy corp based in Connecticut, traced back to one of Candace's holding accounts. Legal, but dirty." "Can she do that?" Amara asked. "Sure, but so can we," Jack replied. "Two can play this game." Nathan nodded. "What do you recommend?" Jack looked between them. "Stay public. Stay clean. Let her think she's in control. but document everything. Any confrontation, any attempt to approach Lily, even casual contact, that's leverage. Courts love patterns. Let her give you the rope. She'll hang herself. Days passed. The black car came and went. Sometimes it wasn't there at all. Other days it circled the block twice. But Nathan and Amara followed the plan. Every outing with Lily became a performance. Calm, steady, visible. Amara returned to work at the diner, but Nathan insisted on being nearby. He'd sit at the far booth, nursing coffee, watching, not hovering but protecting. And it wasn't just Candace he was watching for. There was something else now. A feeling. Like this fragile joy they'd built, this found family was being weighed and measured, and the world was asking if it deserved to last. Then, late one evening, just after Lily had gone to bed and Amara was washing dishes, there was a knock at the door. Nathan opened it to find a man standing on the porch mid-50 seconds. Expensive coat, steel gray hair. "Mr. Monroe," the man said with a clipped tone. "I'm Richard Lowell, Candace's attorney. May I come in?" "No." The man didn't flinch. "Then I'll speak from here. I'm offering you an opportunity to avoid escalation." Nathan crossed his arms. "You're trespassing. I'm here as a courtesy. Mrs. Lowell is preparing to file a secondary petition. She claims Lily has been emotionally manipulated by a woman of unstable background." Nathan's voice cut through the air like a blade. "If you say one more word about Amara, I will see you in court myself." Richard sighed. "Your wealth might buy patience from some judges, but not all. Well, Asteria's eye. She doesn't get to rewrite Lily's life because she's uncomfortable with the truth." The man stepped down the porch steps. "We'll be in touch." Before Nathan could close the door, Amara appeared behind him, drying her hands. "Next time," she called out, "bring a heart with that briefcase." The lawyer paused at the bottom of the stairs. "Miss Lewis, you're in over your head." She smiled, calm and clear. "That's what people always say right before I win." End quote. After he left, Amara sat beside Nathan on the couch. "I don't want to be the reason Lily's dragged through another hearing," she said softly. Nathan took her hand. "You're the reason she sleeps peacefully now." Still. She looked down. "I've never had power. People like Candace, they expect to win. They don't play fair. They don't care who gets hurt." Nathan leaned in closer. "Then let's stop playing defense." He stood and retrieved a binder from the shelf, a thick, well-worn portfolio. "I had Jack run background on Candace, her finances, her board seats, her sealed settlements." Amara's eyes widened. "You're going to use it?" "Only if she forces me," Nathan said. "But I won't let her destroy us because of pride or prejudice." He handed Amara a file. It was a custody document unsigned. "What's this?" "Legal co-guardianship," Nathan said gently. "For you. If anything ever happens to me, I want it to be clear. Lily's yours too." Amara stared at it. "I'm not asking you to sign tonight," he added. "I just want you to know. That's how much I trust you." Tears welled in her eyes. "This isn't just about Candace," she whispered. "It's about the life we're building, one brick at a time." Nathan nodded. "And no shadows strong enough to tear it down." The fall festival arrived like a promise. Every October, the town transformed. Main Street was strung with orange and gold lights, and the air smelled of caramel apples and cinnamon. Booths popped up overnight, face painting, pumpkin carving, bluegrass bands playing from flatbed trailers. It was a celebration of harvest and home. For the first time in years, Nathan allowed himself to simply exist within it, not as the billionaire, not as the grieving husband, but as a man holding his daughter's hand while she wore a princess cape and pulled Amara forward to see the petting zoo. "Miss Amara, they have goats," Lily shrieked. "I see 'em, baby girl." Amara laughed, holding on to her paper coffee cup. "Don't let 'em eat your dress." Nathan followed behind, a step slower, soaking it all in. He'd spent most of his life behind walls, corporate ones, emotional ones, but now, the only walls around him were stacks of hay and paper lanterns. "You're quiet," Amara said, nudging him as Lily ran ahead. "I'm thinking," he replied. She smiled. "That's always dangerous." "Work zest." He stopped, watching Lily pet a white goat through the fence. "I never imagined this life." Amara took a breath. And now? I can't imagine it without you. Before she could respond, her phone buzzed. A text. Unknown number. She glanced at it and her face changed. What is it? Nathan asked immediately. Amara showed him the message. Your place in that girl's life is over. I have proof. Nathan's eyes darkened. Candace. Amara's fingers trembled slightly. She has something. It's a lover. If you knows it, maybe it's a bluff. But deep down, they both knew Candace didn't bluff. That night, Jack called. I got the full report, he said. Candace hired a private investigator weeks ago. He's been combing Amara's past. Her high school, previous jobs, everything. Nathan's stomach turned. And there's a sealed juvenile record. Nothing criminal but a domestic situation when Amara was 16. Police were involved. Family court sealed it, but Candace has enough money to crack sealed records. Nathan gritted his teeth. She's planning to use it. Bet on it. The next day, a letter arrived. Official. Court-marked. Candace was filing an emergency hearing petitioning to remove Amara from Lily's life entirely on the basis of unstable past and exposure to trauma. Amara read it in silence. Then, with a shaky breath, she folded it, walked to the kitchen, and dropped it in the trash. Nathan watched her, stunned. You're not going to fight this? She turned. Her voice was quiet, but unshakable. I already fought it. She sat down across from him. I've spent my whole life trying to outrun that night. What happened? Amara looked out the window. My stepfather was hurting my mother. I tried to stop him. He hit me. I hit him back with a lamp. He didn't press charges, but they still took me in. Temporary placement, juvenile records, all of it sealed. Nathan listened, motionless. I thought if I just worked hard, stayed kind, made myself useful, the world would forgive me. But people like Candace don't care about the truth. They care about stories that keep them powerful. Nathan leaned forward. We'll tell a different story. The real one. She'll humiliate me in court. She'll try, he said. But this time, she won't be the only one with the mic. 2 days before the hearing, the community responded. One by one, they showed up. Mabel delivered a notarized statement and kissed Amara's forehead. You saved that child's heart, she said. Don't let anyone take that away. Earl from the diner brought in a signed petition over 300 names. She gave more to this town than any of us did, he told the notary. And she's not even from here. Even Lily's school principal submitted a letter. Since Miss Lewis entered Lily's life, her behavior has improved. Her attendance is perfect, and her emotional well-being is stable. I don't. Amara held the documents in her hands, tears slipping silently down her cheeks. Nathan placed a hand on her back. They're not just defending you, they're protecting what you've built. She nodded slowly. I don't feel scared anymore. You shouldn't, he said. You're not alone. The night before the hearing, Amara found Lily standing in the hallway with a blanket around her shoulders. Can I sleep with you? Lily asked softly. Of course, Amara said. They crawled into bed. Lily pressed her head against Amara's chest. Are you leaving? Lily whispered. No, baby. Grandma said you're not real family. Amara froze. Lily looked up. But I told her family is who stays. And you stay. Amara kissed her hair. Forever, princess. Nathan stood in the doorway, hearing every word. And as the night settled into silence, he made a vow to himself. Tomorrow, they wouldn't just win. They would reclaim the story. Theirs. The courthouse smelled like old paper and polished wood. It wasn't grand. It wasn't dramatic. But as Nathan, Amara, and Lily stepped through the front doors together that morning, it felt like the most important place in the world. The bench was the same as last time. So was the judge, Honorable Sylvia M. Calhoun. Composed and keen-eyed. But everything else had changed. Amara wasn't a woman on trial. She was a woman choosing to stand. Nathan held Lily's hand as they entered the courtroom. Lily wore her Sunday dress. Her little crown nestled in her curls. Amara walked beside them, head high, a soft strength radiating from every step. On the other side, Candace Lowell sat flanked by her attorneys, pristine in her designer suit, her expression a portrait of self-assurance. The judge called the session to order. This court has reconvened at the request of petitioner Candace Lowell, who is seeking to bar Miss Amara Lewis from contact with the minor child, Lily Monroe. The burden of proof lies with the petitioner. Candace's attorney rose. Your Honor, we've obtained sealed juvenile records indicating Miss Lewis was involved in a violent altercation at age 16, an incident demonstrating a history of instability unfit for a child's environment. Judge Calhoun looked up sharply. Those records were sealed for a reason. Did you obtain them through appropriate legal channels? They were anonymously provided, Your Honor. Ic 7. That's not an answer, Judge Calhoun snapped. Amara stood slowly. May I speak, Your Honor? The judge nodded. Proceed. Amara looked straight at Candace. Yes, I was in the system. At 16, I protected my mother from a man who hurt her. I was taken into custody, placed with strangers, and I survived it. I've never hurt a child. I've never hurt anyone since. I chose healing. I chose love. She turned to the judge. I'm not ashamed of who I was. I'm proud of who I became. And that little girl right there, she nodded to Lily, knows what love looks like, because I show up every day to prove it. Judge Calhoun stared at her a moment longer, then motioned to the clerk. Proceed with the character statements. One by one, letters were read into the record. From Mabel, from Earl, from the principal, from the librarian, even from the sheriff's wife, who wrote, I trust Amara Lewis with my grandchildren. And that's saying something. Then, Nathan stood. He didn't look at Candace. He looked only at the judge. I spent years surrounded by people who told me what I wanted to hear. I thought success was about numbers, power, control. But none of that taught me how to raise a child alone. Amara did. He paused. She is not a guest in my daughter's life. She is her life. She brought laughter back into my home, warmth, stability, and more than that, she brought truth, even when it hurt, especially when it hurt. Ice. He turned, gently nodded to Amara. I'm not asking this court to protect my status. I'm asking it to honor hers. There was a long silence. Candace rose. I only wanted what's best for my granddaughter. Judge Calhoun didn't even look up. No, Mrs. Lowell. You wanted what was most comfortable for you. There's a difference. The gavel came down. The petition to bar Miss Lewis is denied. Furthermore, this court recognizes her as a consistent, stabilizing influence in the minor child's life. Any future petitions must provide new evidence and be subject to review. It was over. No fanfare, no music, just the sound of a future falling into place. Outside, Lily jumped into Amara's arms. We won. Amara laughed, spinning her gently. Yes, baby girl. We did. Nathan stood beside them, his eyes glassy with emotion. Candace passed by, silent. Her driver opened the door, but before she stepped in, she turned back, not angry, but small. Amara, she said. You proved more than I expected. Amara held her gaze. You expected silence. I gave you truth. Candace looked away, then entered the car. It drove off without ceremony. That evening, they returned home to a neighborhood full of lights. Mabel had decorated the porch with lanterns. Earl had brought peach cobbler. Someone lit sparklers for Lily in the driveway. Nathan poured 3 glasses of apple cider and raised his cup. To storms, he said. Amara smiled. And to the people who don't run from them. Lily raised hers high. To family, they clinked gently. Later, after the sparklers had faded and the guests gone home, Nathan led Amara to the backyard. Under the stars, he took out the gold band she'd worn once before, but this time, it was paired with another. I meant what I said, he whispered. Let's build this life. All of it. Because it, Amara nodded, tears falling freely. Yes. As they kissed, Lily ran out, dragging a stuffed animal and a blanket behind her. Hey, she yelled. You're forgetting the princess. Nathan scooped her up. No, sweetheart. We saved the best for last. And together, under a sky washed clean by storms, they walked inside into a home built not by money, not by reputation, but by love that stayed, even when it was hard. This story reminds us that true family is not defined by blood, wealth, or reputation. but by love, sacrifice, and presence. Amara's quiet strength and Nathan's willingness to choose heart over power show that healing often begins when we stop hiding who we are. In a world quick to judge by the past or by appearances, the greatest act of courage is to stand in truth and to build a future rooted in compassion.